Hello everyone, and welcome back to a probably much delayed and maybe much anticipated, D&D CR Exposed here. We are going to take the long route, and instead of me going through and making shorts, which take too much time, I'm just going to go ahead and do this using my CR tool here like I used to do with the lives, and just do these as I have time for. So if you like seeing the information for monsters and you'd like to see something checked out that hasn't already been checked out, the link for requesting a monster will be in the description below. And let's get into this. Let's stop wasting any time and see how this works out. So going back to my old list of monsters, someone had requested the Nagpa. Now the Nagpa is great for me because one of my close and dear friends, he used the Nagpa as one of the main villains for a campaign we played for 3 or 4 years or so before it finally finished off, and now we're in part 2. And he still loves using the Nagpa as like a major enemy, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and start with this and jump right into it. So we're going to go right down the list here, and spellcasters are not my favorite because they take so darn long to work through, but we're going to make this as quick and painless as possible. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into this. We're going to go with 19 AC. They're a medium monstrosity with, let's see here, 37 D8 with the following stats. Now, we don't have to put in all the other information here. It's not necessarily important. The Constitution is the only one that really matters, but we're going to go ahead and throw these in for calculation purposes. So as we see here, 37 D8 plus 37, we have that reflected in the hit point side here. And then we have all the rest here, and we're already seeing some adjustments in our defensive CR, or DCR as I like to call it. So next we look at the next section here, which is our traits and whatnot. We have saving throws of intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Since there's 3, we're going to go ahead and put those in. Otherwise, we would leave it at 0 to 2, which has no bonus, but because it's 3 to 4, we are going to get another bump in the DCR here as well. And then from there, we have some skills. Skills don't matter, senses don't matter, languages don't matter, and we can also put in the expected CR 17 here. Moving along, we have a multi-attack, so the Nagpa makes 3 staff or deadly ray attacks. It can replace 1 attack with a spell use of spellcasting, which is pretty good to know. So we're going to have to work through that a little bit and get the the attacks all worked out properly. So for the multi-attack here, let's go ahead and put in how do I normally do this? Okay, so attack number 1 is, it's been a while. First of all, we have a +8 to hit, so we're going to go ahead and throw that into the attack bonus for our offensive section. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and we could calculate the staffs to make sure this is all correct, but because this is a first-party publisher, obviously D&D put this out, I'm not too worried about the calculations here, and we'll just take the numbers as they come out. So we have a we're going to do an equal sign here for calculations, and we're going to do 9 plus 24 for necrotic damage. Get that correct with a 24, not 27. So our staff is going to be dealing 33 damage in 1 hit, provided it actually hits. And then we also have the Deathly Ray, which is our ranged attack, and that is going to be 1 target plus 12 to hit, and 30 points of necrotic damage. And because this is an odd number, which I forgot to do up here, we're going to add in that odd number as well, so 30.5, and this should also be 24.5 as well. So we have an odd number here because every die by itself is half the die plus a half. So if you were to actually add in on a d6 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, add those all up and then divide by 6, you'll have 3.5. So that's how dice work to get the technical average of what you should be rolling over 100 rolls. You'll end up getting 3.5 for 100 d6s rolled. Now for our spellcasting, which is my least favorite, we have a spell save of DC 20, and if we use spell magic or hit more targets with spell more often, then I will most certainly do that. And let's see here, where am I putting the magic? I mean, I do have this new spell damage average section over here, but because we're not using the traditional, level 5 or spell levels 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we have each of these at a kind of like per use. We can do, 2 fireballs, 2 fly, 2 hold person, suggestions, wall of fire, dominate person, etherealness, feeble mind, 1 of those, for the last 3 I named. This gets a little trickier. Now I know fireball is 56. And let's see here. If we go to spell damage lookup and we go to, what was it, level 5, I believe? Or no, level 3 for Fireball. Fireball is 56 damage on average. And I believe that is for 2 people, because you're going to be targeting at least, we're expecting 2 failed saves. So that's anywhere between, you know, 4 successes, 2 successes and 1 failure, or 2 failures, and so on and so forth. So for there, we know we have a spell casting of, I'm just going to put this off to the side here. So our Fireball is 56. Let's move that a little bit further off. 56 for the Fireball. Our Wall of Fire is going to be what? And Wall of Fire is what level spell? Give me a second while I find that. Wall of Fire is a 4th level. I'm sure some of you are screaming at me, and it's been a while since I played D&D. I've been doing all sorts of other games. Wall of Fire is 45 DPR, so we're probably not going to be using that unless we use it for concentration, which could be handy, and we could expect, in a best case scenario, Wall of Fire doing some actual damage. Hold Person. Let's see here. Hold Person is what level? Is that like level 2, I think? Yes, 2nd level. That's also a concentration spell. Oh, there's the behind the scenes. Hold Person is going to be 16 effective DPR. So let's take a look here. 16 effective DPR is 40 effective hit points. So we'll just put that here for now. Suggestion, unless Suggestion is a higher level than Fireball or Wall of Fire, I'm not too worried about it. It's also a 2nd level spell. We have Dominate Person, which is going to be much higher at 5th level. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see here. Dominate Person should be roughly 44 effective DPR, which is going to turn out into a lot of hit points and could be the better option, honestly. Etherealness and Feeble Mind. Feeble Mind is going to be wickedly powerful. I think that's what, 7th level? It's been a while. Oh, it's 8th level. Okay, so let's see what we have for Feeble Mind. If that were to be cast, I'm only getting 14. All right, that is one I would definitely come over here and use this new table for. So let's see here. We're going to say 1 single level spell. Number of uses 1. So in theory, Feeble Mind is going to be worth approximately 66 DPR. Let's see here. What else? We can do this. So we've got that number of uses. We could say 2 uses of Fireball for a total of technically 84. Although actually Fireball would do more damage, but these are for averages. So in a sense, we could say, you know, that could be much better. With the multi-use for also for the Wall of Fire, we could expect potentially upwards of 98 damage, but that's also got concentration, which is a little tricky to work through. So all in all, I would say probably a use of Fireball, or a use of Wall of Fire with concentration in 1 round, and then the next 2 rounds could also be Fireball, or we could say 1 Feeble Mind. Well, Feeble Mind, is that concentration? No, it's instantaneous. It's once, and then it deals the 66. So that could be good. If we're concentrating on Wall of Fire, that could be our concentration for round 1, which will bleed into potentially rounds 2 and 3. Feeble Mind would also be a good way to knock out a spellcaster, and we could also do Dominate Person if there was a heavy-hitting melee person. Alright, let's go with that for the time being. We'll see what we have there. So, we also have our bonus actions. We'll come back to these in a minute. Bonus actions of Corruption. Nagpa targets 1 creature can see, makes a Charisma saving throw. An evil creature makes saves at disadvantage or failed. Let's see here. On a fail, let's get that into as much review as I can. On a failed save, the target is charmed by the Nagpa until the start of the Nagpa's next turn. On a successful save, the target becomes immune. Okay, so we have Charming here, and then we also have Paralysis. When forces each creature within 30 feet recharges on a 6. That could be good to use for 1 shot. The wisdom saving throw excluding undead and constructs. On a failed save, the target is paralyzed for 1 minute. Paralyzed target can repeat the saving throw. Alright, so hold person is basically a paralyze, right? Yeah, okay. So hold person is a 2nd level spell, and in this instance, since paralyzing is the main effect of this, we would use the lowest spell level possible. So we have basically a charm, which is more or less a level 1, and we also have a paralysis, which is a level 2. I would definitely use the paralysis once, and we would only expect that 1 out of 6 turns of combat. In theory, we might see that recharged more often, but because of this, we're going to say, 1 use for any bonus actions here. So where are we going to put our bonus actions in? I usually throw those like up into the lair actions. I'm not worried about lair actions for our Nagpa, so we're going to say, what was it, 16? So that's going to be 40 for our first effective turn. And then we will also do corruption, which is a charm effect. So let me go ahead and double check. Actually, I can just do that here. Let's see. Cause fear. Okay, 11 effective DPR. Well, that's for multiple people. We're only looking for 1. Oh, and also hold person was a double. Calm emotions, that's 28 effective DPR. So let's go back to that real quick. 28 DPR turns into 70 effective hit points because we are paralyzing, which means we're stopping people from dealing damage, and we are effectively gaining that in hit points. Then we go back and look at single target spells. Charm person, there we go, 11. So we'll go back here and we will pop that in to turn that into 27. So those are our 2 bonus actions right there. And then we have our spells. So we are concentrating on Wall of Fire, and Wall of Fire is, what did I say, roughly 45 DPR. So every round we're expecting to hopefully get 45 DPR. And then in the next 2 rounds we will also be doing, what was it, Feeble Mind, 1-shot Feeble Mind, and a 1-shot Dominate Person, which we are going to roughly take at 66 DPR as well, but because that is stopping casters from casting spells, we're going to turn that into effective hit points at 165. So that's 1 round of bonus action, no, not bonus action, spell casting, which will turn into that. So we will divide that by, no, we won't divide that. We're going to say that this is going to be every round, because the Feeble Mind lasts basically permanently until it can be cleared out with a curse or remove curse or something along those lines. So we're going to go ahead and put that into the hit points here. So we're going to say 70 plus 27 plus 27, and that's going to be an average. So let's see here. We're going to say extra hit points. We're going to go ahead and round down 70 plus 27 plus 27 for 124, plus an additional 165 from Feeble Mind, giving us that much extra hit points. And then we're doing our Wall of Fire, and we're doing a Dominate Person as well, which, did I forget? The 66, 165? No. Alright, I think that should be more or less correct. Now let's go back to here. The Nagpa makes 3 staffs or deadly ray attacks. It can replace 1 attack with 1 use of spellcasting. So even though technically our melee attack is a little bit stronger, we're not going to use that because the deadly ray attack has a plus 12 to hit, which is crazy good. We also have to take into effect how many times are we doing damage versus making people use checks. So for the time being, we're going to throw in the 12 for the deathly ray attack, and that's going to be 3 rounds times 2 each, because we're also throwing in spellcasting, which is going to give us 6 ranged attacks for a plus 12 to hit. Now, next we're going to look at the spells. Wall of Fire, we are hoping to hit a minimum of 2, maximum of potentially 4 for 4 failed saves. So in this instance, we could round and say, well, maybe 3, but in essence, in the books, in the custom monster section of the DMG, it says 2. So we're going to take 2 for Wall of Fire, and that's going to be every round of combat. Right off the bat there, we're already looking at 6 for our Wall of Fire, plus a 7th for Feeble Mind, and then an 8, let's see here, 6, 7, 8, yep, Dominate Person is an 8th, and then we're also doing Paralysis on a DC 20 and Corruption on DC 20 as well. So we're going to be using saves for this instance. We're going to switch this over, and we're going to say DC 20 for all of our checks here. And then we have to put in our rounds of attack. So we're not using the Wall of Fire, we're concentrating on that which is getting already added in. And we're going to say multi-attacks, we're going to do this times 2. And then the concentration, because concentration is already thrown in, and I don't feel like reworking the rounds of attacks of 1, 2, 3, every round of attack is going to be 2 Deathly Rays. In theory, we're staying far enough away. And then we're also doing spell casting and whatnot. I'm just going to go ahead and add this into the concentration. And we're going to say plus the 61 here. And we should see roughly DC 21, or excuse me, CR 21 for our Nagpa. Already, our Nagpa was suggested to be a CR 17. And of course, this is the best case situation for this monster, but it looks like it might be a little stronger. The other thing too I would like to throw in is that you'll notice a trend here in the AC section for our monsters' expected AC rounds, and it stops at 19. For some reason, between CR 16 and 18, it stops at 19 and goes all the way down. I've expanded the CR track to go as far as 60, and from there, I've started to push them into 20 and 21. Now, I have an experimental AC adjustment here, where it looks at the trends for the attack bonus and the armor class, and adjusts the armor class here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this. It's going to update what I think the expected armor class should be. And our Nagpa goes from a CR 21 to a CR 20. So not that big of a dip, because by, CR 21, our monsters should be rocking higher ACs, which means they're going to have less hit points, and they technically should have more hit points in this case to counterbalance certain things, if I have that correct. In any event, our Nagpa, with the experimental adjustments of my own suggestions for higher AC for monsters going to CR 30, like, I forgot her name. Yeah, the big old dragon there, multi-heads, Bahamut, and I just lost her name. I can see her, forgot the name. But anyways, the demon dragon there with the multi-heads, can't think of her name. Anyways, she should have technically a base CR 23 for being CR 30, or DCR 23 for a CR 30, or whatever. AC should be at 23 if I can get this corrected and whatnot. Anyways, let me put this back. So we're looking at a CR 21 for our Nagpa, in theory. Alright, so now that we know that our Nagpa here technically should be a CR 21, what are some things we could potentially do to fix this? And right off the bat, if we get rid of the bonus hit points, pretty much, for the majority of the stuff, except for the bonus actions. So if we get rid of the Dominate Person and the Enfeeblement and just leave the bonus action stuff, we'll put that into place. And then, let's see here, what else? If we just do Fireballs instead of what we're doing here, we got the Wall of Fire and we have 2 Fireballs. So now we're going to need to make some adjustments, and we'll say 56 plus the multi-attack, and we will just repeat that a bunch of times. Yeah, we're still getting CR 21 here. So to get the Nagpa, in theory, to down to a CR 17, we would have to make some huge adjustments here. And that's something a little out of scope of this game, or out of this, not game, but this video here. I just wanted to show you potentially what it looks like at its most, at its highest amounts here. So if we go back, we're looking at a CR 21 for our Nagpa. Again, your results may vary based on, dice rolls and what have you, but this is just a potential look at where we should be placing the Nagpa. In any event, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. And if you'd like to get this copy of this tool here to help you balance out your monsters as well, go to my Ko-fi page. My Ko-fi will be linked in the description. It's ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/D&D CR Exposed. Let me double check that real quick. Yes, so my Ko-fi page is ko-fi.com/D&D CR Exposed. And like I said, I'll have a link in the description, so you can also go there and grab it. It's for free, and if you want to donate for my time and efforts, more than happy to accept your donations. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.